Hey guys, it's Darwin. So next week I'm going to be headed out to PCT Trail Days in Cascade Locks, Oregon, and I figured it was a great time to start talking about the gear that I'm going to be carrying next year on my PCT Thru-Hike. So today we're talking about my big three. Alright, so since Snuggles and I got off of the AT last year in 2016, I've been spending a lot of time trying to get my gear dialed down for my PCT Thru-Hike in 2018. Doing some smaller trips like the Arizona Trail section that I went on and the CDT section that I went on just this past April, I've tried to dial down, work with, and field test gear that I would possibly be carrying on my PCT Thru-Hike. I've tried a couple different packs, I've tried a couple different tents, and a couple different sleep systems, and I finally narrowed it down to my big three that I'm going to be going with next year. So first off, let's talk about my pack. During my AT Thru-Hike, I carried the Osprey Atmos 65 pack. I absolutely love that pack. It held up great, and I put it through a lot of hell. But for my PCT Thru-Hike, like all thru-hikers on the PCT, I'm trying to get my base weight down as low as I possibly can. Because on the PCT, you have to carry extra water in big sections, you have to carry extra types of gear, a bear canister in some sections, and even an ice axe and crampons. So even though I absolutely loved that Osprey Atmos, it was definitely a little bit heavier of a pack, and I knew that I wasn't going to want to take it on my PCT Thru-Hike. So the pack that I decided to go with is the ZPacks ArcBlast 50-liter pack. It's a Cuban fiber pack. It's a top load, so that means it has no zippers or extra pockets on it. And the total pack weighs in at 20.5 ounces. Now that's 20.5 ounces with some of the accessories that I've added on. Like I put this water bottle holder on there, and I put a little pouch here on the bottom so I can carry my snacks, carry my phone, and other types of things. And I'm not completely done with it. I'm thinking about adding another pouch and maybe even another bottle holder because I will have to carry a lot of extra water. Now, not too long ago, I did a full review on this pack, and if you want to check that out, I'll put the link up here in the corner and you can go see all the specs on the pack. But from taking it out on small backpacking trips around New Mexico and for my CDT section hike that I did in April, I absolutely love it, and it's gonna be perfect for what I need next year. Now next up is my shelter. I've went through a handful of different options to this point. Now the tent that Snuggles and I carried in 2015 and 16 on the AT was the Big Agnes Copper Spur UL2. A great tent, but definitely a little bit heavy and maybe a little bit too roomy for what I need for next year on the PCT. Now the first tent that I went with and the one that I thought that I would be carrying for my Thru-Hike was the 6 Moons Design Skyscape Trekker. It's the tent that I took out with me on the Arizona Trail and the tent that I took out with me on my section hike of the CDT. It worked great for that, but I had a handful of problems with it. The bathtub seemed to be a little too short. I didn't really like the way it pitched, and for the weight, I knew I could get a little bit lighter. So about 2 months ago, I decided to finally ditch that tent. I was done with it, and I decided to pick up a ZPacks Duplex Cuban fiber tent, and I love this thing. I've taken it just out on a handful of small trips. It's everything that I want in a tent for the PCT. It has a super huge bathtub, it's amazingly roomy, it sets up with trekking poles. So far I've gotten a perfect pitch almost every time that I've set it up, and with the stakes, the stuff sack, the guy lines, everything but my trekking poles, it only weighs 22 ounces. So it's crazy light, crazy roomy, and it's definitely gonna help me keep my pack weight down. Now these are for sure expensive tents, and I paid almost $600 for it, but I'll tell you what, I've always been a big believer in the buy once, cry once theory. You know, I went through 2 tents to this point to get what I really wanted, and that was money and time that I spent when I could have just got this in the first place and been super happy. So next up is my sleep system, and I'm pretty much going with the exact same setup that I had in 2016 on the Appalachian Trail, and that's my Enlightened Equipment Revelation 20 quilt. So I've said it in a handful of my other videos, this is absolutely my favorite sleeping bag. It's a quilt that I've ever owned out of all the other sleep systems that I've had. I love it because of how versatile it is. So on the PCT, I'll be going through a bunch of different terrains. For that first 700 miles, I'll be in the desert, then I'll be in the mountains, then I'll be lower again, then it'll be super rainy, This thing has proved itself in every condition that I've ever put it in, so this is definitely the bag that I'm going with for next year. So for the quilt, the pad straps, and my ZPacks Cuban fiber stuff sack, this guy comes in at 26 ounces. So for a bag that does everything and you can use in any seasons, 26 ounces is pretty damn amazing. So obviously no sleep system is complete without a sleeping pad. So I'll actually be using 2 different sleeping pads during my PCT Thru-Hike. Number 1 for that first 700 miles until I get to Kennedy Meadows, since I'll be going through mainly all desert, I'm going to be using the Thermarest Z-Lite. It's a closed foam cell pad. You don't have to blow it up. It only weighs 15.4 ounces, and the main reason that I'll be carrying this is number 1, I've had some past PCT hikers tell me to not use an inflatable pad in the desert. And living here in New Mexico, I know better than that. You have tons of these little things called goat heads and mesquite thorns, cactus needles that can pop your pad very easily. The other reason is for that first 700 miles, I really plan on putting in big miles every day, and when I get to camp at night, I don't want to sit there and blow my pad up. So this will definitely be a lot easier just to throw it out and go to bed. But once I get to Kennedy Meadows, I'll be sending this guy home to Snuggles, and she'll be sending me my go-to pad, which is the Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite. It's the pad that I used in 2015 and 2016 on the AT. It's a 3-inch pad. It has a nice high R value. It's crazy comfortable, and it only weighs slightly a little bit more than the other one at 16.5 ounces. This thing has been really tried and true for me over the last couple years, and hopefully it will hold out until the end of my PCT Thru-Hike as well. I put a lot of miles on this thing, and it's still going strong. And then of course I have my Sea to Summit Aeros ultralight pillow. Definitely a luxury item, but it only weighs 2 ounces and it gives me a lot better sleep on the trail, so that's definitely going with me as well. So for my big 3 for the PCT, that's my pack, my shelter, and my sleep system. It's 85.9 ounces or 5.3 pounds. So 5.3 pounds is not too shabby for my big 3. Could it be lighter? Sure, but I'm pretty happy with that, and I think that I'll be super comfortable for my Thru-Hike. So like I said, next week I'll be headed out to Cascade Locks, Oregon for PCT Trail Days to meet up with some other hiker trash, get out on the trail a little bit, and talk to some gear companies like ZPacks. So I'm super looking forward to that. And also in the next coming months, I'm going to be doing more of these PCT gear videos where I'm going to be breaking down certain pieces of gear and certain categories of gear of what I'll be carrying next year. So I'll be doing an electronics video showing you all of the stuff that I'll be carrying electronically that's going to be on me to shoot these videos. I'm be doing a full breakdown of my clothes, what I'll be hiking in, what I'll be sleeping in, a toiletries and first aid video, and just a randoms video, all the other random gear that I'll have on me, you know, from my solar umbrella to an ice axe to a bear canister. So keep an eye out for those. Decide to do these because, you know, just the typical gear video of just showing you a full gear layout can sometimes be kind of boring, and I've done those already. So I figured this would be an awesome thing to do just to break down the gear in certain categories. Because maybe you don't really care about my entire gear list and you just want to know what type of clothes that I'll be wearing, or you just want to know what my big 3 are. So hopefully you guys dig them. If you haven't had a chance yet, go over and check me out on Instagram. I've been posting a lot of new photos lately of some of the things that Snuggles and I have going on throughout the week, plus some pictures from some past hikes. If you're interested in supporting this channel or supporting my 2018 PCT Thru-Hike and you haven't got a chance yet, go over and check out my Patreon page. I have a ton of really awesome rewards to offer you guys for helping me along on my journey. If you found any value in this video, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and as always guys, thanks for watching.